Hey, this video isn't for everyone, so you might want to get a pen and paper if you want to take some notes, or at least take out your notepad just so you can write down a few things so you can learn how to do this. But it may trigger some people, so I'm just giving you that warning that you could turn this off and not watch. The second warning is that magic on this plane is real, is active, but it's really pointing to the electromagnetic and other scientific principles, which points to something different, points to something about what we are here, but it can work. The third thing I want to mention is I'm going to talk about Saturn in this video, and I want to make sure that it isn't being confused that I'm saying there's something to worship about Saturn or anything leading towards that level of Saturnalia or anything like that. No, what I'm saying is that in this video is that Saturn is a planet. It has energies, and the energies are discipline and hard work and determination, and it can be taken as oppressive for some people. But I liken it to how I grew up with my mother, and she was very domineering, very dictatorship like, and she had hard and fast rules, and we needed to follow those rules. We needed to develop some discipline, and it was sink or swim in her house, and it was like, you're gonna do what you need to do. And I always say anybody who has been around her comes back changed. They come back improved, or they fall apart. And that's just how her energy works. And I believe there's a resonance there with Saturn, and I think that because Saturn does carry that kind of heavy energy that you will be changed because of it. There's something serious about it, the energy that comes with it. I think that some people who know what I'm going to speak on, this technology that I'm going to speak on, these circles and squares, I think that maybe they know how to harness that and produce something for themselves, and maybe it affects us too. And so I want to say those few things before we get started. And there's one more thing to mention. I give a nod to Nikola Tesla for reimagining, rediscovering these secrets. But there were cultures way before him that I need to make mention of, which is the Greeks. But before the Greeks, there was the Egyptians. Before them was the Sumerians and the Hindus. And a few more like the Norse and the Celts. There's a lot of cultures that knew and woke up to these principles. They may have termed it in a different way. They may not have used the same scientific names and terms, because every era, every epoch of humanity gives it a different name. So what we're talking about here in general is our energy. We're talking about what we are. We're talking about harnessing the power of a star and bringing it here to the earth, as in the descent, and how we make the ascent. And that is the basic principles behind magic squares, magic circles, which they aren't magic, but they feel like magic to people who don't know how they work. So what I'm talking about then in general is our energetic principles and how they've been harnessed for us to have this life. Okay, and so I probably should have started with this one, but this is an example of the great rays and how it all begins. So people like to say that this is mom. Some people who are paternalistic will say this is pa or dad or the one, right? But I don't believe that this is the one. I just wrote this because this is what is said in the literature. What I believe is this is me. This is mom. And once we realize this is where we want to go, that's where we'll go. And so the circle again is the external wall, is the external unit, the one cause manifested or harnessed in a boundary, a circle or cycle of walls, right? Whereby there is a zero and it got caught in a boundary. So this being here wants to radiate everywhere, but it was given a boundary because it stepped out. Okay, so what they say is, if this is mom, then steam is released from here as a spewing, or someone say it's a dad and he's seeding. So you could look at this either way. It could be both, right? And then what happens is you become dual. So you become two. Then there's another one of these circles, which I should have drawn here as an overlap. And sometimes we'll see that as the seed of life, right? where we could see this circle overlapping with this one, and then we get this vesica in the middle. You see this vesica in the middle? So we'll see that. That's what we would have seen had I had another circle right here. Then you see this vesica right here, right? I didn't draw that. So then when we go to the 3, then we see the 3, 6, and the 9, the first triangle, but we're still caught in a boundary. This is what life is. This is the tutelage. This is the descent, okay? And so it's the power of the triangle. It's balance created out of the 1, or the 1, whatever we want to call that, the 1. I like to say mom, and then 1. That's how I like to see it. 1, I stepped over there. And this would be a part of the vesica, okay? And so when you take the 2 triangles at the bottom, that's balance to create the child, okay? And then so this represents spirit, mind, body, spirit, soul, body, salt, sulfur, mercury. If you're looking at the Philosopher's Stone, mother, father, child. Okay, it's expressing the generative and regenerative systems of the body. Okay, it's showing the threefold path: philosopher, priest, soldier, the occultist, the mystic path, or the path of service, right? According to those 3. The 3 Kabbalic worlds, the triple crown of the Magus, or the Magi, heaven, earth, hell, brain, earth, or heart, and generative system, all right? Pointed upwards, the triangle is the ascent. Pointing downwards, the triangle is the descent. You get it? Again, this is saying we're only talking about energy. We're talking about energy in terms of how it flows and why it matters. So why does it matter? Because somebody knows. Somebody knows. Using these symbols, someone knows how to arrange numbers, names, letters, anything pretty much, solfeggios, anything on here to be used in the reality to harness energy, to give you a boundary, because we are limitless. And then when you're given a boundary that gives you an identity or a name or a mode of using a tool, such as if you can notice that there's a lot of circles in the world, such even that Pythagoras came up with a circle of fifths, right? Using the count of 12 notes. But who's to say that's correct? That came from him. He also came up with Pythagorean theorem, right? And the Platonic solids. So who's to say that that's what the true reality is? Maybe all of that is painting out or pointing out an artificial matrix, a PlayStation, an Xbox, a game where we're given a boundary and let's see what you can do with it. And so like how I like to balance that out is, if we're given a boundary, okay, is this like Monopoly? Like, what is this? How can I realize like all of this? Because we can look at cubes, we can look at magic cubes, we can look at cards, we can look at numerology. And basically when you look at these things, you'll find your name and you'll find your number, and it'll be so similar to who you are, who you've been, and how your behavior has been. It is because these boundaries can be used to bring energy in and also keep energy out, such that if you were to recreate this using stone, or use stone blocks or actual on the ground and carve it, then you can create protective barrier. It's just so much you could do with it. And so I'm not saying that we should play with this. I'm saying realize this. So when we realize that, then it becomes like, okay, yeah, I can be everything then. If this is just an artificial boundary, this isn't real. This is the illusion that I'm a 3, right? That I'm just a 3, not just, because it's great. And what does the 3 represent? The 3, who are those angels? Who is those seraphim? Who are my ancestors who were 3? What is it saying to me? What is it doing to my DNA? Who am I really? If this is a game and these are boundaries and this is a wall and this is a structure that harnesses energy, what's in here with me? What's outside here? And how do I get out of this boundary? How do you get out of this boundary? It's first to realize we're talking about energy. And to implode in the center of this vortex, or is that page? Yeah, that's this one. It's the very next one. How did I miss it? Nope, yeah. To implode inside of here, inside the center of yourself, is bliss. Is to meditate or to sit still. Is to breathe. Is to cycle this energy. Is to acknowledge everything. And be zero. Be at the 0 point of yourself. Okay, so in this diagram, I wanted to show how the numbers connect and how they create certain geometry. So the first one I'm going to do isn't drawn yet, but that's to identify the doubling pattern. The doubling pattern we see here can be mapped out in this circle. So again, the significance of this is to show this circle represents harnessing the power of a star, harnessing the power of our electromagnetism in whatever we apply it to, such as personality, such as whatever it is that we're going to use it for. Okay, and so how that works is, ultimately, I'm giving you the answer first. We are here. We are everything. At the end of the journey, we realize we're 9. Some people say the 9 is divine, but I find that the 9 is representing enlightenment in that we realize everything. But once we realize everything, we have another step to go to the 10, back to 1, or to go here, which is considered 0. Some people consider the 9 and 0 as overlapping. For me, I consider the 9 as the enlightened man, the Buddha, the Christ person, but still consider themselves human, still staying in the game. But once you let go of everything and you're at 0 point, you're sitting here. And so when you go into a 0 point meditation, you're here in the center of all of it. And so again, these numbers, they represent angelics, power, force, energy. And that's a bigger conversation, but I just want to show you how it kind of plays out. Okay. And so this is just basic, going back to basic vortex math, Marco Rodin's formula. I haven't seen anything that anyone has said that this leads to what I'm saying, but that's what I see when I look at it as a part of the Enneagram, as a part of what the power is that we are and how our vortex is, how our torus and our auric field flows, okay? Meaning that this part is also the center of a magnet. And I'm going to show you a spirograph in a minute, but I want to show you how the flow of energy works. So basically, because we're in an infinite loop and because we're doubling constantly, that is the energy here. So we take the 1 and we plot it 1 to 2, right? And then we go 2 to 4. Maybe I should use a different color. And then we go 2 to 8. We go 1 to 2, which is double, 2 to 4, which is double. Then we go 4 to 8, right? Then 8 doubled gives you 16, sorry. So then when you go from 8 to 16, you go 7, you go 6 plus 1 gives you 7, right? And so, but we go back to 16 and we say 16 doubled is 32. And so then from 32, 3 plus 2, that goes this one to 5. And the 5, that's a 5. It looks like a 6, but that's a 6. It goes to the 5, right? And then so when we're at 32, we double that too. And then we go up to the 5 plus 5 is 1, which 1 is 5 plus 5 is 10. So 1, really, let me say that again. This is kind of messed up how I said that. Okay, so I think you got me though, but let me say it again. So we go doubled, we start at the 1, we double to 2. And then we go from 2, we double to 4. Then we go from 4, we double to 8. And then 8 plus 8 is 16. 1 plus 6 is what? 7. So we go to the 7. So now we're here at the 7. Doubled is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. So we go from this number to the 5. 5 plus 5, which we're doubling, right? 5 plus 5, or are we doubling from 5? No, 14. Yeah, from 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. So we go here to 1. And that kind of feels weird. Kind of feels like I said that wrong, but I didn't. I said that correctly. But we can also look at it in a different way because these are all
this is 5 is the digital root of 14, but it's also the digital root of 32. So that if we took 8 plus 8 is 16, and we took the 16 and we doubled it, that would be 32. 3 plus 2 is 5. That's why it works in both ways. So I did say it a little bit confusing, but you have your references down here. And if you make yourself a reference, which I didn't look at it, which I should have, you can reference back here to see if you're on track. And so when you notice how this flows, what does it look like? Doesn't it look like an infinity symbol? Doesn't it look like that? Doesn't it also look like that upside down meta symbol that we see everywhere? It looks like a lot of things. There's a lot of symbolism that looks like this. But what this is saying is that we're in an infinite loop. In an infinite loop. And look who stays out of this math. The 3, the 6, and the 9. The 3, the 6, and the 9 stays out of it because this is how the electromagnetic system flows. This is the energy flow, and this is the loop. This is the infinite loop of reincarnation, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you how a circle becomes a square. I was going to colorize this, but I'm not going to color it because this is just an instruction page, okay? So that's why that says add color, because I'm still editing this a little bit for myself, but I just wanted to finish it so that you can have a start point, right? So we've already gone over this structure and how it works, where we connect the 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 7 to 5 to 1 in a completely repetitive cycle. And so what I wanted to show you was how these connect in equal 3, 6, and 9 by the sides. Okay, and so in order to do that, we take the 1 and the 2, we add it to 3. The line segment adds up to 3. The 2 plus the 4, this line segment adds up to a 6. Okay, the 4 to the 8, that's 8 plus 4, that's 12, that's a 3, and so on and so forth. You can see this yourself, right? You can add that up. So that's a complete return to the 3, the 6, and the 9, okay, which is our Kundalini, which is representative of our Kundalini energy. Okay, and so now I'm going to show you how a circle becomes a cube, but before I do that, and this is why I had to do this video over, because I did it in reverse order and it was more confusing that way, so I wanted to make it clean and clear, is how do we get the groupings to form a square? So we group the numbers 1 through 9 by adding, right? Or basically by counting. And you'll notice when you do it in order, in natural sequential order to the numbers, it comes out perfectly. So you take the 1 as your first start here. Then you go 1, 2, 3, that's your next number. 1, 2, 3, that's your next number. Okay, that's one group. Then you go to the 2. 1, 2, 3, you get your second number. 1, 2, 3, you get your next number. Then you go to the 3. 1, 2, 3, you get your number, right? 1, 2, 3, you get your last number. And that's how you get your groups. And it's in a 3, 6, and a 9. There's a method to do it where you count 6 ahead or 6 in reverse, but that's obvious. It'll give you the same numbers. Okay. And I just explained the line segments and how to get these numbers from the line segments. I don't know where it is right now, but we'll just do it here. It's probably in the back of this. So basically, I drew out the the cube. So how to take a circle to a cube. I drew out the cube in the way that we see it normally. Then I drew it like this to get it in the angle that I wanted to go, and then I flipped it so that you could see the numbering and how it looks like a hexagon, but also a circle. And also how it encodes an infinity sign by looking at this here. This. Infinity. And this is basically a vortex of time, infinity. And again, it encodes all the 6s. This is going to make sense for you soon, okay? The Saturn's cube here, because you're going to probably think, why do I care? How does this matter? It matters. Because when you look at this structure, just remember this structure, this structure, this structure, because on the next page I'm going to show you. But again, I showed you the other numbers and the other groupings. Let me show you those again. The natural groupings for a cube are these. So the last one we did was the 3, 6, the 9. For the Saturn Cube that's being built and used to harness certain energies, it begins with a 4. And it doesn't follow that order of natural sequentials, because this is 5, then this is like 3. So what is this? And then they go to the 3, the 5, the 7, the 8, the 1, the 6. It doesn't follow natural pattern. And when you add it up, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. And here's the math. 4 plus 9 plus 2 equals 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. 3 plus 5 is 7. 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. 8 plus 1 plus 6 plus 15 equals 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. And I'm getting these numbers directly from here. Then you come down to 4 plus 3 plus 8 equals 15 equals 6. And so on and so forth. So the 4 here, 9 and 2. The 4 and 2. 4 and 2. Sorry, 4, 9 and 2 right here. 4, 5 and 2. 4, 5 and 6, that's the diagonal. 4, 5 and 6, the diagonal is 6. 4 plus 5 and 6 equals 15 equals 6. The other diagonal, 2, 5 and 6 is 6, because 2 plus 5 plus 8 equals 15, which is equal to 6. That's the downward 6. The descent. That is the descent. The downward pointing triangle. Again, these are the groupings, right? So when you look at this, it follows this natural pattern. 1, 2, or 3. 1, 2, or 3. This one down here, 1, 2. Oh, can't see it. Here you can. 1, 2, 3. There it is. 1, 2, 3. This one down here is just off. You can't start with the 4 because it doesn't give you the natural sequential pattern. This is the Saturn Cube. So let's go back up to the natural ones. But first, let me say something. There's nothing going on with Saturn that's wrong. Saturn is just a planet. It's just a planet. Probably has beings living on it. Probably has certain energies. But when it's being used in a certain way to bring sigil magic and to put in the border certain energies and keeping people in material world with masculine numbers surrounding the feminine numbers, as in to stranglehold them, there's an issue here. That's an imbalance in nature. Nature wants to do this, where from the groupings I already showed you, put 9 at the center. Put the divine at the center of the cube. All the sides will come to 3. 1 plus 4 plus 7 equals 12, which is 3. 3, 9, 6 is 9. 3 plus 9 plus 6 is 18, which is 9. 2, 5, 8 is 6. 2 plus 5 plus 8 is 15, which is 6. This is beautiful, right? This is beautiful. And then even if you go down the row, it's still 6, 9, 3, right? And that's over here. This is going down the row. 1 plus 3 plus 2 is 6. The next one, 4 plus 9 plus 5 is 18, which is 9. That's a 4. Sorry, it's kind of messy. It's a 4. Then the next column, 7 plus 6 plus 8 is 21, which is a 3. This is beautiful. This is completely ascending, right? And obviously I can't spell ascending here, but it's okay. Again, with the feminine numbers being 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Beautiful. It's just arranged perfectly. Okay. And then, so that would be the sigil. If you expected yourself to be in a society that was all about ascension, you would think that they were going to use this kind of magic square, which is actually a circle. All right. And now let's go to another natural, or beneficial square. I don't know what we're going to call that. But again, the natural ordering, which we grouped by 3 by counting. Start at the 1, 1, 2, 3, you get to 4. 1, 2, 3, you get to the 7. That's the natural grouping. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oopsie, 1, 2, 3, you get a 5. 1, 2, 3, you get an 8. An 8. Start at the 3, 1, 2, 3, you get a 6. Checks. 1, 2, 3, you get a 9. It checks. Okay. So then we move here to this one we're calling natural. We can call it whatever. I don't know if it has a name. But then we start here looking at it. 1, 4, 7. 1 plus 4 plus 7 is 12 is 3. 2 plus 5 plus 8. Oops, here. 2 plus 5 plus 8 is 15, 6. Right? Because 1 plus 5 is 6. And 3 plus 6 plus 9 is 18, which 1 plus 8 is 9. Right? Okay. So then when you look at this one's still good because this is showing balance because it has a 6, a 6, a 6, which is the body, right? Which is the downward. Then you have the 3, 6, 9. Isn't that lovely? That's so lovely. Okay. Almost there. Almost there. So now I'm showing how you take this circle and the flow of numbers that's doubled to show the flow of energy to the double cube or the the vortex, the one single vortex which is represented as a double cube. Okay. So how does that flow work, right? We're doubling. So we're going to go 1 to 2, 4 to 8 to 7 to 5, back to 1. Right? Okay. So we go this direction from 1 to 2. From 2, we're now at a masculine number. We're going to flow to the 4. We didn't interrupt this 3. This 3, we didn't stop at it because it's not part of it. Remember, 3, 6, 9 is not part of this flow. So then we go to the 4. From the 4, we pass the 6 to the 8. From the 8, we go directly to the 7, right? And from the 7, we go to the 5. From the 5, we pass this and go to the 1, and we've completed a cycle. And so that cycle looks like 1 to the 2, 2 to the 4, 4 to the 8, 8 to the 7, back to the 5, back to the 1. And that is this in motion on a cube. And so what does that tell us? Because it seems kind of boring, right? But it isn't. It's telling us energy in motion in a natural sequence, bypassing the 3 and the 6 and the 9. This is wrong. This is the Saturn Cube, and it's off. It's throwing our energy off and interrupting our flow.
And what do I mean by it's off? Well, to me, it's like a sleight of hand or being one step off the beat. It's like having all the numbers, having all of the available numbers, but then being in a disarray or in inappropriate sequence. Therefore, it won't work. Like the energy just won't flow. Again, these numbers do represent principalities or planetary intelligences. And so don't they need to be ordered in a certain sequence, right? In order for them to flow correctly. Otherwise, we'd be on some sort of energetic wobble, and it would encode maybe a circle instead of a spiral. It's kind of like cutting a steak with a butter knife. And so this is just the feeling I get from this, that because we're on, and everything is encoded with a cube or everything's encoded with these numbers out of sequence, that this is the program running. And once we realize that, we can adjust our own frequency. We can adjust to the solfeggios and realize that there's more than one scale for listening to music, to playing music. We don't have to stick with any program. We are free and liberated to use our own energy however we wish. The other thing that makes it off to me is that it's like it's not telling us that we are free energy. Our energy is generating perpetually, almost, well, actually, in negation of the first law of thermodynamics, where you have to get an input. We are the input and the output in perpetual motion. That's what the 3 and 6 is doing, is perpetuating energy back and forth. We're like an ever ready battery forever. And so from there, I feel like if we are built with free energy, if that is what we are, then we don't need any external energy. We just need to know how to use what we are, use our internal technology to generate light, power, everything. And I think that is one of the biggest secrets to this, and why being off just a little bit by a few numbers out of sequence has been the program. Even if you check back to ancient books, that's been the way it's been run. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day or night.